Mikä lakukastike maistuu parhaalta? Ei voi tietää, ellei kokeile. Kouvolan lakritsi.
Hello, friends, and welcome to our coverage of the ECL Pro Division Finals right here at twitch.tv/Reactio Media. My name is Brandon Bigsby, aka B Major, and folks, we have a fun final series coming up here. We will be having games 1 through 3 here on our coverage here today, as the number 8 seed, ROBE Esports, will be going up against the number 6 seed in Vizio. Two teams that have had amazing stories, surprising runs to the finals, and two teams that are very familiar with each other. We will give you the breakdown of everything, of how these two teams got here, who's going to be the ones to watch out for on each of these sides, and as we mentioned, games 1 through 3 of our coverage here today. And this final is having a very high billing to live up to from what we saw in our Elite Division final yesterday, going to a Game 7 overtime. And congratulations again to Last Dance on winning the Elite Division title. We have business to take care of here today, as again, ROBE Esports going up against Vizio. And like we said, these two teams very familiar with each other, because if we take a look at the regular season standings, both of these two teams played in Group 2 together. And when you look at those standings, not much separated them. As you can see, Vizio, the number 3 team in that group, ROBE Esports, the number 4 team in that group. They were separated from each other by just 2 points. That is how slim the margins were. And I mean, you go all the way back to the top of that group, ROBE Esports only separated from Afterlife by 4 points, while Vizio only a 2-point separation. So Group 2, very highly contested. I think a lot of people felt that Group 2 was probably the most highly contested group, and a lot of people felt that maybe the finalists could come from this group because of how stacked it was. When these two teams played in the regular season, they did split their 2 games. ROBE winning a game 5-3, Vizio winning a game 3-2 in regulation. So 2 very tightly competitive teams that were not separated by much. You're going to have to find some separation here in this final, with there only being one team that can go home as ECL Pro Division champions. And let's take a look at the bracket here as well to show you how these two teams have gotten their way to this point in the finals. And as you can see, with Vizio earning their way in, knocking off Pirates Esports, one of the championship favorites, the highest scoring team in the Pro Division. We're able to knock them out in 6, and then going up against another really tough team in Afterlife, knocking the number 2 overall seed out in a gentleman's sweep. While for ROBE Esports, they have earned the billing of the Legend Killers over the last couple of weeks. They beat Almost Famous in 6 games, a team that was one of the championship favorites coming into the season. A lot of Elite Division talent on that roster, able to knock them out, the number 3 overall seed. We actually covered that series on our broadcast a couple of weeks ago. And then the favorites, the Golden Buffaloes. ROBE Esports were down 2-1 in that series. They come back, win 3 straight, and knock out Golden Buffaloes in 6 games. And I mean, you talk about how stacked that Golden Buffaloes team is. I mean, how about these for some of the names that are on that roster that this team was able to knock off? McSavid, It's Party Time, Leitinen, Ekin, Flyer Kungen, Potslav. Those are the players that are on that roster for Golden Buffaloes. I mean, they are absolutely stacked from top to bottom, and ROBE Esports were able to knock them out to earn their place into the finals. I think you could argue they have had 2 of the largest upsets we have seen in the Pro Division playoffs in terms of team talent that we have seen in recent memory. It's earned their place into the finals. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what can happen here as these two teams match up in the finals. Now, let's take a look at the head-to-head matchup between these two sides. And, you know, starting out with ROBE Esports, a high goal scoring team. They love to fly up and down the ice. They play a very chaotic, fast pace of style, and you kind of see that within their stats. They're phenomenal offensively. They have an amazing power play at 34.62%. They've mixed that with a pretty good penalty kill, while for Vizio on the other side, known to be more of the slow things down, wait your turn, be patient, strategically styled team. But they're able to score a little bit too. 56 goals for, but the 36 goals against, I think, is what is really impressive. Elite offense versus elite defense in this matchup. They have yet to give up a power play goal this postseason either, which is going to be big for them because Vizio, they were one of the most penalized teams in the pro division during the regular season. You go all the way back, 142 penalty minutes. The only team with more was underrated with 154. So interesting to watch out for, in Vizio having a great PK, but not such a great power play. That penalty kill going to be critical for them. Now, let's meet the starting lineups for both of these two teams, starting out with the number 8 seed, ROBE Esports, over on the left side. It is the same lineup that we saw from this group a few weeks ago. Buntala at the left wing side, Yurki at center, and Tahizu at right wing. While back on the fence is Luki at the left D side, and Aksu at right defense, while in between the pipes is Viltsup. While for the number 6 seed, Vizio, it is the normal group that we've seen from this team in the playoffs. Yetsu at left wing, Artuzio, the captain, at center, and Niepi at right wing. While back on defense is Yusos Gardi at lefty, and Sertateski at right defense. While back in net is Sake manning the pipes for Vizio. Now, we'll take it position by position, starting out with the centers, as is Yurki going up against Artuzio, and you see these two pretty close to each other in terms of the stats. 35 points for Yurki, 38 for Artuzio. Really, the main difference is Artuzio maybe a little bit more of a goal scorer, 22 goals, while Yurki, 22 assists. So getting their points in different ways, but still stepping up to do so at the same time. In the face-off battle, going to be very interesting as well. Both of these men over 50%, but Artuzio, a phenomenal 56.8% face-off percentage. Not often you see a center in north of the 55 face-off percentage range, but Artuzio finds himself there rather comfortably. We see so many times where these games and these series can be just decided by possessions, how many extra possessions you can earn and how many possessions you can deny your opponent of. That's going to be something to look out for with these two really, really talented centers going head-to-head here in this series. Now sliding over to the winger matchup, we'll be lining up to the left and right of these two men. And I think the number one person that stands out to you on the left side, Puntala for ROBE Esports, one of the most talented wingers in the pro division. 41 points, 23 goals so far in these playoffs. He was amazing as well in the regular season. He was one of the top point getters then as well. He just continues to step up and continues to show, why he is widely considered one of the best players in this division. Tied for 5th in the division in points in the regular season with 84. Who he tied with? Potslov, one of the elite players that you'll find throughout the ECL. So very good company to be with. And you see Tahizu with him over on that right side. One of the longtime players of this ROBE Esports team. Expect him to make an impact as well. While over on the opposite side, Yetsu really, really stepping up for his Vizio team. He's been one of their most consistent players all season long. Led this team in points during the regular season, ranked 11th in the entire pro division. He's continued to be phenomenal so far in this postseason run. While over to his right is Niepi, one of the more experienced players that you'll find, a former elite division player as well. You see him wearing the Vizio Esports jacket. He's somebody that was a critical piece of that team. Niepi has the experience, has 39 points, the most of anyone on this team in the playoffs. You go back to his time playing with Enigma, where he was able to contribute to a really deep pro division run. As a matter of fact, a former pro division champion. Enigma knocked off Goons in the ECL 11 season. So somebody that is used to the scene, has played in this position before, and should be able to step up here in this series. Now, moving over to the defensive battle, and this is going to be a lot of fun to watch, especially with these two teams being familiar with each other. And You see with ROBE Esports, the same pairing that we've seen throughout this entire postseason run of Lucky and Aksu. They have played together all season long. Two different flavors of defense. You see Lucky 33 points, 119 hits in the 19 games he has played. Absolutely insane. I mean, you're talking about 10 hits per game on average, so stellar what he has been able to do, while Aksu on the other end, 26 shots blocked. He has 28 points as well on his own right, so he's been able to contribute a bit on the offensive end. Over on the other side, you see Yuso Skari at that left D spot. He has played every game. But you see Sertateski at that right D spot. 8 games played so far during this playoff run. It's kind of come in and out of the lineup so far this season for this team. And, you know, he's been able to kind of switch with Masen Toitanu. They go with Sertateski today. Can he step up for this team? Not sure what the lineup's going to look like for them tomorrow, but for today, it would be critical for him to step up and give them some help over at Yuso Skari over on that left D side. Last but not least, the starting goaltenders for these two teams. And again, you kind of look at the stats of these two, very, very similar to one another. Vilt's up an 81.8 save percentage in the 19 games that he has played. Over on the opposite side, Sake, 16 games played, an 80.5 save percentage. He has a pair of shutouts to his name as well. The goaltending we have seen so many times in these finals can really dictate which way things go. I mean, we've seen goalies make their names in finals before. We've seen it in the Elite Division. We've seen it in the Pro Division as well. Both these two goaltenders are going to be critical pieces to whether or not their team finds their way in the Elite Division at the end of the series. And two very capable goalies, two goalies we have seen step up and make big saves in the past. Can they do it when the lights are the brightest? We're going to find out as we get set here for game 1 of our final series in just a matter of moments as the two teams get things set up. Chat, tell us who you think is going to win this game 1. You have ROBE Esports, or you have Vizio starting out this series with a 1-0 lead. But while we do have a moment, we do want to remind you guys, our friends over at WellNet have a nice little deal going on for the sports gamer community. You go to health.sportsgamer.gg and put in the code SportsGamer1. WellNet will be giving you a 1-month free trial. They have all types of amazing exercises, even some that are curtailed to us as gamers, and it's all from the convenience and ease of your smartphone. So make sure you go to health.sportsgamer.gg, put in that code SportsGamer1, and WellNet will be giving you a totally risk-free 1-month free trial. A big thank you to WellNet for their support. And our friends over at Game Changer also have a deal going on. If you go to GameChangerOfficial.fi and put in the code SportsGamer10 at checkout, Game Changer will be giving you 10 euros off your final purchase. They have multiple supplements, whether it's for performance, whether it's for focus, recovery, or even immunity boost. It's all at the ease of 2 capsules a day, and Game Changer has some of the most high-quality products that you could ask for out there. So if you go to GameChangerOfficial.fi, put in that code SportsGamer10, Game Changer will be giving you a nice discount on your final purchase. So a thank you to WellNet, and a thank you to Game Changer for their support and giving a nice couple of deals for the ECL community. We are ready to roll for game number 1 of our Pro Division Finals. We will be watching from the perspective of Vizio, wearing their home all-black uniforms, while ROBE Esports wearing their road whites. Both of these two teams are vying for their first championship in the ECL in their club's history. Vizio has been around since all the way back in the ECL 10 days, back when they were tic-tac-toe, so ROBE Esports in their 3rd season of existence. Go back to their days as Rocking Bears, but still looking for that first title. One of these two teams will find their way in the Elite Division for next season, and will have that Pro Division Gold as we're underway for game number 1, as ROBE Esports are working it in the neutral zone. Bumped off of that puck there at the blue line as Vizio trying to work things forward here with Niepi. Moves it over to R2CO, who gives it down in the right corner, and it's found, however, by Tahizu. That's a little bit of space here for ROBE. A backhand shot denied by Sake. As Alex Tahizu had gotten that puck. Niepi controlling it for Vizio. Holding it over at left point, ripped on now. Rebound shot, and they score! Yetsu kicks off the scoring here in the finals. As you get a look at the replay, and that's what you see from this Vizio team. They are a very, very calculated group that ripped from the point from the Epi. And you see just waiting for that rebound, Yetsu puts himself in position to get that second chance opportunity. puts it in the back of the net past Viltsup. And a 1-0 lead just 4.5 minutes in for the number 6 seed Vizio, as Niepi has it past the blue line. Shot was blocked in front by Tahizu. As Artuzio controls behind the net, pass in front. Shot on, hits the post from Niepi. It's a back, however, as Artuzio controls it behind the netting. Reverses it up to the point to Sergateski. Shot on, deflected in front, found by Viltsup, who will hold on for the freeze. So far, it has been all Vizio. They have hemmed ROBE Esports in their own zone to start out this series. Face off to the left side of Viltsup, one back in the defensive zone by ROBE Esports. Controlled by Luki, and he gets it back from Puntila. Looking it forward as Tahizu gets it behind the net. Gives it over to Yerki. One-time rip there from Aksu, blocked in front. As Vizio with a breakaway. This is Artuzio. Shot on, hits the post. Vizio finds it back, however, but a near second goal right there for the captain Artuzio. Trying to put his team up by 2, but it was not to be. Yerki controls it, finds Yerki, but it's intercepted. And here comes ROBE Esports as they get it back. Tahizu at the right boards, skates it forward, trying to find Yerki over on that pass across, but it's disrupted and will force ROBE to reset. Aksu up to Tahizu. Gives it back to the point. Aksu controlling it. One-time rip from Puntila, stopped by Sake, his first save of the game. Controlled by Puntila at the left boards, but it's intercepted off his stick after the stick lift. Niepi controlling it. Trying to give it over to Yusascari. Puck loose in front, found by Luki. And ROBE Esports now trying to work forward. That's a tripping going to be called against Vizio. Niepi will head to the box. And it's going to be a power play coming up for ROBE Esports. We mentioned their man advantage this season. It has been quite respectable, especially in the playoffs, at just under 40%. This is a team that is very capable on the power play, and they're going to look for a power play goal to try to tie this thing up. It's controlled by Luki at the point, trying to move it forward, but intercepted by Yetsu as he'll dump this down, and ROBE Esports going to have to reset. Controlled by Yuriki over at the right corner, goes back to the point to Aksu. One-time rip from Luki, saved by Sake. ROBE still pushing, 30 seconds to go on the power play. Puck behind the net, poked off his stick, found by Yetsu, but not able to clear it. Aksu with it, looking at the high slot, gives it over to Puntila. Pass across, denied there. A nice defensive play from Vizio. Controlling it, here's Aksu as he tried to pass it back, but no one was there for it, as it's a chance here for Niepi. Holding on, pass in front, shot on, sweeping backhand, stopped by Viltsup. Niepi controlling it the right face off that one-time rocket from the point from Yetsu, but denied again from Viltsup. Viltsup being tested here early. 4 saves on 5 shots so far, with 3.5 minutes to play in the first period. As Yetsu gets it on the pass from Yusoscari, trying to pass it across to Artuzio, but intercepted, and here comes Puntila down the other end, controlling it over at the left corner, trying to pass that in front, but finds the point. One-time shot, they score! Aksu ties it for ROBE Esports! The exact answer that the Bears were looking for. And ROBE Esports knocked this thing up at 1 apiece. 2.5 minutes to play. And they have possession again in the neutral zone. That pass picked off by Yetsu as he fell to the ice, and now will give ROBE possession back. They'll dump it in here. Puck given chase and found first by Sergateski. Gives over to Yusoscari and back to Sergateski. Back to Yusoscari, trying to move it up to Yetsu, but intercepted by Tahizu. Here comes Yuriki down the other end for ROBE. 30 seconds to go. Puck found behind the net for ROBE. Trying to find some space as that pass in front was in the back of the net, and they score! Puntila! A funny play there as it was a centering pass. It bounces in off of a defender in front. And ROBE Esports, with just 7 seconds to play, are out in front, a 2-1 lead as they win the neutral zone face-off. They're just going to go ahead and kill off the rest of the time. And Vizio, they had a 1-0 lead, but they've seen that squandered, now find themselves down by 1. ROBE Esports with back-to-back goals in the latter minutes of the first period And to get another look at that goal from Puntila, just kind of centering pass in front, and it deflects in, looks like off the pad of Sake. It may have not been pretty, but ROBE, they don't care. It counts all the same, and they have a 2-1 lead at the end of the first period. As we'll get a quick look at some of the replays there from the goals. This one being the opening goal of the game from Vizio, that shot from the point from Niepi that was cleaned up in front. And you get another one, that one-time shot. Beautiful rip there from the point from Aksu. And this goal right here from ROBE that gave them the lead. As Puntila just trying to pass that one in front. Bounces in off of the pad of Sake and goes into the back of the net to give ROBE Esports a 2-1 lead heading into the second period. We want to make sure we shout out our sponsors, Covenant Accuracy, Game Changer, and Wellnet, for their support of SportsGamer, GG, and the ECL all season long. Would not be able to do what we do without them, so make sure you guys show them some love and support. As a breakaway here for the Hidu, but denied by Sake! A huge save for Sake, the engineer, as here comes ROBE down the other end. Controlled, but turned over, is moving it forward, is Vizio, a breakaway potentially developing, puck loose in the blue paint, but found by Viltsup. As he'll hold on for the freeze, and we have a champion in the Twitch chat. Shout out to Lonstrom, a part of that Last Dance team that won the Elite Division yesterday. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Congratulations once again. Hope you guys didn't party too hard last night. Really early this morning. That series didn't end until almost 1 a.m. on the European side of things. So I hope you're doing well. Congratulations to you once again, as one of these two teams looking to join Last Dance in the Club of Champions for the Spring 25 season. This is game number 1 of our Pro Division Finals. ROBE Esports holding on to a 2-1 lead in the second period, as Vizio going to get an offensive zone face-off coming up. It's controlled by Vizio in the offensive zone, but Artuzio's pass banks off the boards and will force a reset. So Scari controlling in the neutral zone, moves it up to Artuzio, bumped off his stick, and an offside is going to be called as Niepi picked that one up as he crossed the blue line. We're seeing this game start to slow down just a little bit in terms of the pacing. Again, ROBE Esports loves to thrive off of chaos. They love a fast-paced game. Vizio, on the other end, likes to slow things down and play a more calculated style, as Viltsup got to that puck and will freeze it. And an offensive zone draw going to come up here once again for Vizio. Face off to the right side of Viltsup. Tied up, won by Vizio, but eventually found by ROBE behind the net. Picked up by Lucky, gives it up to Puntila. Puntila past the blue line over at the left wall, trying to give it over to Yurtki, but bumped off his stick, and here comes Vizio down the other end. Niepi controlling it and gives it to Artuzio. Back to Niepi. Niepi moves it forward to Yetsu, trying to pass that across, but it's intercepted. Nice defensive play from Aksu, and here comes ROBE down the other end. As Lucky pass across, puck loose in the blue paint, and they get the rebound to go! Puntila, his second goal of the game! And ROBE Esports, with 3 unanswered, a 3-1 lead as we approach the halfway point of this game 1. All of a sudden, Vizio looking for answers and looking for their offense once again, as Aksu with some speed up the right wall. Looked off this, but found a shot on, stopped by Stock, another shot, they score! Yurtki puts it in the back of the net! And ROBE Esports is roaring, 4 unanswered goals. And Vizio, all of a sudden, the pressure turned up on them early here in this series. If you get another look at the replay, This Yurki perfectly placed to get that puck. Sake not able to make the other save, and ROBE Esports starting to pull away here. Up by 3, a 4-1 score now, halfway through this game, and they're still pushing. Hizu finds Yurki, but poked off his stick late, and now forced ROBE to reset. Moves forward to Puntila. Puntila looking, holding, turning, trying to find a play over at that left faceoff. So gives it up to the point to Luki. Gives it back to Puntila. Puntila lost behind the net and picked up by Yusoscari. Approaching 7 minutes to go here in the second period. ROBE Esports with 4 unanswered goals as a pass in front. Picked off there by Aksu in a breakaway. Backhand shot and they score! Luki! Able to beat Sake on that flying poke check attempt. And ROBE Esports running away with this game. A 5-1 lead in the second period. And how things have turned from what we saw early on in this game. Vizio had the early goal. They were up 1-0. They had a majority of their 5 shots all during that sequence. But ever since then, it has been all ROBE Esports. They have controlled the game. They have controlled the pace. They have been able to shut down Vizio's offense. And they've been opportunistic in the offensive zone. They are up by 4 to show for their efforts, and they may be pushing for more as Yurki puts on a move, has it behind the net, controls it, now gives it over to Puntila. Over at the left corner, one-time shot from the point, blocked in front. ROBE still with possession, however. Aksu at the point, trying to give it over to Hizu, but intercepted by Yusoscari. Controlled by Yetsu, backhand shot denied by Viltsa. A scrum forward behind the net and found eventually by Luki. He got the most recent goal for ROBE Esports. And it feels like just about everyone has scored for this ROBE team. As here's Hizu with speed and a breakaway! Got caught up 2 from behind. A nice defensive effort by Serlateski to get to that. As Vizio take over possession. 40 seconds to play here in the second frame. As Yurki controls it and has speed up the right boards, trying to move it forward to Hizu, but it finds Puntila instead. And offside going to be called. Neutral zone face-off coming up here. One back by Artuzio over to Serlateski. The right boards, trying to move forward to Artuzio, but found first by Yurki, and that will do it for period 2. ROBE Esports came into this period up by a goal. They leave it up by 4. A 5-1 lead over Vizio, as they have just taken over the momentum in this series. To get another look at that breakaway that we just saw from Luki. Sake trying to get that flying poke check, but just not able to do much with it. As you get another look at all 3 goals from ROBE in that period. That first one, that was the pass in front, puck over, just sitting on that blue pane and cleaned up by Puntila. And you see not too long after, Puntila crashing the net, puck bounces his way in front, finds its way over in front, and ROBE Esports with that 5th goal on the breakaway that we saw. A 5-1 advantage as we begin the third period. Does Vizio have a magical comeback left in them, or can ROBE Esports go ahead and seal the deal? Was a nice turnover there created by Hizu, and he has a one-on-one toe drag move, shot on denied by Sake. A beautiful move, but a better save by Sake, denying Hizu of another ROBE Esports goal. Keeping Vizio's slim hopes in this game alive. As Hizu controls in the neutral zone, poked off his stick, and it's controlled now by Yetsu. Poked off his stick, and now ROBE take over possession and will slow things down here just a bit. As Aksu under a little pressure, but able to evade it. Passes the blue line into the offensive zone, gets it over to Yurki. One shot there as it's found by Sake, and he'll just hold on to that one. 16-12 to play here in regulation. ROBE Esports a 5-1 lead. All 5 of those goals coming unanswered. Faced off, tied up, found by ROBE Esports. Controlled by Tehizu, his shot saved by Sake. Gonna play that one out. As ROBE Esports gain possession back. Aksu gives it to Luki, trying to move this up to Puntila. The pass a little bit off. Puck given chase. Found, however, by Yuso Skari, but the icing was waved off. Niepi with some speed up the right side. Under duress, holding on and gives it to Serlateski at the point. Serlateski hipped in front, he scores! Yetsu! And Vizio cuts the lead now down to 3. As you get another look at it there, deflected in front. We talked about Yetsu. Led this team in points during the regular season and led them in goals. 79 points, 50 goals. Those 50 goals tied for second in the division. Only one shy of leading the entire division. No surprise to see him step up there as Vizio a long climb back, but you got to start somewhere. Their first shot since the first period there. As ROBE Esports controlled in the offensive end, but it's poked off of their stick as they end up getting it back in the neutral zone as Puntila has it, poked away, and here comes Vizio down the other end. Niepi spins, finds Artuzio, lost, however, and found by Tehizu for ROBE Esports. Dumped in the offensive end, puck given chase and found by Yuso Skarius. ROBE Esports back off and will retreat to their defense. Serlateski gives it to Niepi. Back to Serlateski at the point. Moving forward, pass in front there. Couldn't find Yetsu cleanly as it's found by ROBE, and here's a chance for Puntila. Under some pressure, stops and looks for an option to pass, but nothing there for him. Puck turned over by Vizio, but they get it back, and here comes Niepi with some speed up the right side. Has Yetsu with him, fakes the pass, poked off his stick. A great defensive play there by Yurtki. 8.5 to play in period number 3. Vizio with the most recent goal, the deflection in front from Yetsu, but still a long way to come back in this one, down by 3. As we quickly approach the 7-minute mark, as a shot on there from the opposite side of the ice was swept aside by Viltsup. As ROBE Esports gonna set up their offense. Big hit off of that puck there by Yuso Skari. He controls it to the left side. Tried to give it to Niepi, but poked off his stick, and now ROBE Esports can operate down the other end. Yurtki controlling it. Over at the left boards, trying to find a pass in front, but nothing doing as it's found by Vizio. And Artuzio gives it back to Serlateski to move it forward. 5 minutes to play. So Skari trying to give it over, but turned over. As Puntila with it, goes back to Luki. Bumped off that puck and found by Puntila, who gives it back to Aksu. Moves it up to Tehizu, but intercepted by Vizio. 3.5 minutes to go. Time quickly dwindling here for Vizio to pull off a stunner as they try to move it into the offensive zone, but an offside called with 3:21 to go in regulation. As we get a neutral zone face-off coming up between Yurtki and Artuzio. Tied up, bound by ROBE. Controlled by Luki and moved to Puntila. Up the left boards with speed, puts on a move and is looking for an option to pass. Goes over to the left corner, but it's intercepted down low by Yuso Skari. Yetsu moving it up quickly. Vizio with some desperation here. Niepi over to Yetsu. Yetsu poked off his stick. A great defensive play again there from ROBE Esports. They have stepped up valiantly since the start of this game. They have just gotten better and better on the defensive side of the game, and it's rewarded them as a shot in front from Tehizu. Saved by Sake. And as ROBE will have an offensive zone face-off coming up to the right side of Sake. Artuzio wins that back in his own zone. Slapped up over to Yetsu, hits off of him, and he's not going to be able to get it as ROBE will take possession back. Yurtki controlling it in the neutral zone. Dumped in and found first by Serlateski. 37 seconds to go. ROBE in full control of this one, up by 3, looking like they will be on their way to a Game 1 victory, barring a comeback as that shot from Artuzio goes wide. Controlled by Artuzio, now the Niepi as he's tripped up, and that's going to draw a penalty. So Vizio will head to the power play as Yurtki will head to the box for tripping. And as we mentioned, Vizio, the power play, not their strong suit. How about this? They have ranked in the bottom 2. Each of the last 2 seasons in the Pro Division have not even had a double-digit percentage power play. In the winter or spring season, that is almost unheard of. They're not going to be able to do much with their power play here, but a 5-on-3 going to come up as a penalty going to be called against Puntala with 4.7 seconds remaining. A quick 5-on-3 for Vizio to end this game off. We'll see if they can do something quick with it. Face-off tied up. Found by Vizio. They get a quick shot off, but it's not going to go in, and ROBE Esports take game number 1, a 5-2 victory over Vizio. As you get a quick look there at the stats, you might not have seen them for long, but you saw them there for just a split second. So instead, we'll bring you back into the booth. B Major with you. ROBE Esports, a 5-2 victory in game number 1. A phenomenal effort for them. They gave up that opening goal, but 5 words can be hard. 5 unanswered from that point forward. And Vizio really not able to find much there to counteract that. So ROBE Esports draw first blood in the series. They take a 1-0 series lead. We're going to take a short break as we get things set up for game number 2 and hear a word from our sponsors. But folks, do not go away. We'll have the second game of our coverage and of this series right after this. Don't go away. We'll be right back in just a few minutes.
Welcome to the SportsGamer Health and Performance Program. Nice to have you here. Here you have a large amount of different workouts from Wellnet, but also material just exclusive for you gamers. In your sessions, we focus mostly on neck and shoulder mobility, back health, and concentration. So give it a try and let us know what you think about it.
lakukastike maistuu parhaalta? Ei voi tietää, ellei kokeile. Kouvolan lakritsi.
We're back and ready to go for game number 2. ROBE Esports with a 1-0 series lead after a dominant 5-2 victory in game 1. Once again, we are watching from the viewpoint of Vizio. They're wearing their road white uniforms while ROBE Esports in their home red and blacks. Chat, tell us who you think is going to win this game number 2. Do you got ROBE taking a 2-0 lead, or do you think Vizio turns this thing into a best of 5? What a statement from ROBE Esports to start out this series. A great performance from them. We mentioned 5 unanswered goals after Vizio got the opening goal just around 5 minutes into the game. Really couldn't find much offense after that opening start, and ROBE Esports were able to be opportunistic in the offensive end and kind of shut Vizio down on their own end throughout most of the rest of that game. Is Vizio gonna have to look for some answers, and we'll see if they found them between that quick break, as they have it in the offensive zone, but it's poked off their stick, and here comes Puntila up the left boards. Holding on to it, trying to move towards the slot, drives in, shot goes wide. As ROBE still in possession of it, pass in front there to Yerky, but he couldn't get all of that shot, and now Vizio countering down the other end. Artuzio spin move, one-time shot blocked in front, picked up from Niepi, holding on to it as a centering pass doesn't find Yetsu, as it's turned over, and now ROBE working down the other end. Stretch pass to Hizu, as he gets it in past the blue line, and it's found by Yerky. Trying to get that pass in front, puck loose and recovered by Artuzio. Sergateski will slow things down, and ROBE, you see them setting up that 5-man trap at the blue line, and there it is. It pokes that off of the stick of Artuzio. That's when ROBE has been able to do. They have been able to really stifle Vizio on their break-in. They've not been able to have a lot of success when they cross the blue line. They do this time as they hold it with Sergateski. Pass across, hits the post with the shot. Yetsu denied by the pipe, but Vizio still pushing at the shot from the Epi, gloved in by Viltsup. I'm sure ROBE hates that I said anything, because the minute I did is the minute Vizio got 2 great opportunities. An offensive zone draw for Vizio, lost however, as ROBE get the defensive zone faceoff win. This is Aksu controlling it, moves it quickly to Lucky, who gives it to Yerky, but it's turned over as they cross the blue line. Picked back up, however, by Puntila. There's a shot from the point, swept aside from Sake. Sergateski moves it up to Yetsu. Gives it over to Niepi at the right boards. Held on for a second, but turned over as Lucky got to that one. Now, as ROBE Esports going to set their offense up, but turned over in their own end. Artuzio gives it over to Yetsu. Poked off his stick and now found by Puntila, and this time ROBE will get out cleanly. Dumped in over at the left corner. Given chase and found by Yusoscari, and now Vizio looking to counterattack, but turned over in the neutral zone. Lucky finds Hizu as he moves it back to Aksu. Back to Tizu. Tizu gets it back after he lost for a moment. Centering pass intercepted by Yusoscari. Slapped up to Niepi. Niepi with speed. Pass across there. Disrupted. A shot on. Stopped by Viltsup as Yerky will clean up the garbage in front. As it's moved forward by Aksu. 5:48 to play as an offside called. As once again, this is game number 2. ROBE Esports with a 1-0 series lead. They won that first game by a score of 5-2 over Vizio. Vizio with a great response so far. 3 shots on net, while ROBE Esports with just 1. As Vizio control it here in the neutral zone. Yetsu gives it up to Artuzio, but is under some pressure and turns it over. Aksu controlling it, gives it up to Lucky, now to Puntila. Turned over as he took a big hit there over at the left board. Stretch pass up to Niepi. Here comes Vizio. Niepi trying to pass it across the Yetsu, but disrupted. As the puck loose behind the net and found by ROBE Esports. Lucky to Yerky. Yerky passed the blue line back over to Puntila. Puntila trying to give it back to Lucky, up to the point to Aksu now. Aksu moving it forward, holding, pass in front, intercepted and disrupted by Vizio, and a delayed penalty going to be called against ROBE Esports. A power play upcoming for Vizio unless they score, which they will not. So Vizio will be on the man advantage here, as it'll be Tahizu heading to the box to ROBE. And as we mentioned earlier on in game 1, if you were not with us, Vizio on the power play, quite frankly, it has been a struggle, and that might be putting it kindly. The lowest power play percentage in the Pro Division during the regular season at 2.78%. Last season, it was 6.52%, which was second lowest in Pro. So their power play, to be quite frank, it's been dreadful for them this season, and it was last season for them as well. As they're hoping to take advantage of it here, but still nothing for them so far. 20 seconds to go here in the first period, 35 seconds to go on the man advantage for Vizio. They break it back into the offensive end, but it's turned over as here comes Lookie up the left boards with speed. Circling around the high point, slap shot blocked in front there. As that will do it for the end of the first period. No score from either side, but nevertheless, a good bit of action, a couple of close chances. And for Vizio, a power play opportunity heading into the second period. Let's get a look at a couple of the shots. That one right there, probably the best. The one-time chance that hit off of the post. We've seen Viltsup step up and make a few big saves as well for ROBE Esports, but he had a little bit of help there from the pipe. As you see the stats, 4-1 in favor of Vizio in terms of the shots. Not a big difference in terms of time and attack, just a 17-second difference between Vizio and ROBE, but nevertheless, Vizio has been able to take advantage of their time in the offensive zone, while ROBE kind of struggling to find that space to earn opportunities, something that they didn't really struggle with during the first game. As we get things set for period number 2 of game number 2, we want to once again shout out our sponsors, Covenant Lacrisi, Game Changer, and Wellnet. A big thank you to them for their support of the ECL. As Vizio, with 10 seconds to go on this power play, they control it in the offensive end. Yusoskari with a shot on, blockered away by Viltsup. Back to even strength as Tahizu now out of the box for ROBE Esports. And as Lookie controls it, bumped from behind by Niepi, but ends up getting it back as Yurki controls it for ROBE. Moves it to Asku and finds his way to Tahizu. Tahizu putting on a move at the left corner, trying to center that pass towards the slot, but it's intercepted. Niepi gives it over to Serlateski, but he was a step behind, and that's going to lead to an offside call. Neutral zone draw coming up here. Face-off won by ROBE Esports. Lookie gets it into the offensive zone here for ROBE, controls it at the left boards. One-time shot from Aksu, gloved away by Sake, and he's not going to take any chances. He'll hold on for the stoppage. Just the second shot on net so far this game for ROBE Esports. They have been slowed down offensively. Vizio really honing in on the defensive side of things, but no goals to show for it. ROBE win the offensive zone draw. It's controlled at the point by Aksu. Big hit there laid on by Artuzio, as that's going to force a reset for ROBE. Controlled by Lookie, turned over, however, and is held by Yatsu as the pass across. Nobody home to get it. But it's found by Niepi at the left boards. Another pass across, another one that goes errant, and no one there to pick it up. ROBE Esports take over possession. You get the feeling this could be one of those games that is up in a 2-1 or maybe even a 1-0 score. Very defensive, opportunities few and far between. Lookie controls it over at the left wall, holding it around, trying to find an option. At the high point, shot blocked in front, and here comes Vizio down the other end. Yatsu moving with speed up the left side, towards the slot, shot on, gloved away by Viltsup. 12-16 to play, and we're still looking for our opening goal of game number 2. Again, ROBE Esports up 1-0 in the series, a 5-2 win in game 1. Offensive zone draw for Vizio, tied up, found by Niepi. Gives it up over to Yatsu, shot on, saved by Viltsup once again. 7th shot of the day there for Vizio. Viltsup has been able to find all of them. It's Vizio with another offensive zone draw here coming up, this time to the right side of Viltsup. One back in the defensive zone by ROBE is controlled by Aksu and moved up to Yurki. Going to now with it at the left boards. Holding it pass across there, disrupted by Yusoskari. A shot on from ROBE, stopped by Sake as he gets to that puck. And will hold on for the stoppage. Things starting to maybe open up here just a little bit between these two teams in terms of opportunities. ROBE wins the offensive zone. Draw the one-time shot from the point, stopped by Sake. So Leteski controlling it. Moving up the right boards with some speed. slowing it down a little bit as he tries to evade the defense. He gives it over to Niepi, but it's going to force a reset. So Skari now with it. Starts to break in, dumps it in, and it's going to be gloved in by Viltsup as, man, if you're Vizio, you couldn't have aimed that any more perfectly. That wasn't planned, I'm sure, but definitely calculated, to say the least. That's going to give Vizio an offensive zone face-off here. One back in the defensive zone by ROBE Esports as they're not able to get out of their own end after winning it. As a one-time blast from Serlateski from the right point, saved by Viltsup. 9 shots now today for Vizio as they have full pressure, but ROBE dumping it out. And it's controlled by Skari, who dumps it back into the offensive end. As Puntila loses it off the back of the net, and it's controlled by Vizio. As Artuzio centering pass shot on, saved by Viltsup. At the point is Skari. Lost that as he tried to put on a spin move, but it's recovered by Niepi. Gives it over to Yetsu. Yetsu at the left corner, trying to pass it into the slot, but finds Serlateski at the right face-off circle. Poked on the stick. One-time blast from Skari, blocked in front. And ROBE just going to dump this one out for an icing to alleviate the attack of Vizio. 4:19 to play in the second period, and Vizio is on the prowl, looking for the first goal of the game in the late stages of the second period. Tied up, found by ROBE. Moving up quickly as Aksu dumps it in as it's going to be recovered by Serlateski, who will move this up for Vizio. Niepi with it at the right side. Moves his way past Puntila, pass towards the slot, intercepted by ROBE. 3 minutes to go. There's a chance here for Luki. Shot in front, denied by Sake. That was Puntila who put it on net. Nice chance there for ROBE, but not able to do much with it. As Vizio on the counterattack. Yetsu with it over at the left corner. Bump from behind, but gets it back. Shot in front, puck loose at the blue paint. Battled for, found by Niepi. Over at the right face-off circle, looking for an option to pass or shoot. Bumped off of that puck, however, as Puntila will get it and gives it over to Aksu to move this forward. 30 seconds to go. Aksu to Tehizu. Tehizu hit, but found by Puntila. Puntila working it forward at the left corner. Towards the middle, found by Skari as Serlateski gets it. And that will do it for period number 2. A scoreless second period after a scoreless first period. But we have still seen some fun action throughout this game. Some great defensive plays, some big stops by both goaltenders. As you see one right there from Viltsup, just snatching that with that left glove. On the other side for Vizio, Sake making a couple of big saves on a few of ROBE's chances in that second period. Get another look there at that save from Viltsup. One of many that he has made in this game. As that's just kind of the Viltsup highlight reel during the second period, and that's fitting. With how these two teams have played each other so far in this game, as you got a quick peek at the stats. Vizio 10 shots compared to just 5 for ROBE. They have an extra minute of time on attack as well. 5:25 compared to 4:22. Give Yerke some credit, however, as well. Winning the face-off battle 10-3 over Artuzio. We mentioned Artuzio 56% at the face-off dot so far during this postseason. Yerke a little bit over 50%, but we talked about how that would be potentially a key to this series to look out for, and so far, I give Yerke some credit. He has stepped up at the face-off dot for his team as we are underway for period number 3 of game number 2. Could we have a first goal win situation? These two teams not giving an inch on the defensive side of things as ROBE controlled in the neutral zone. Puntila had it, but stick lifted away, and here comes Vizio down the other way. Turned over on that breakout pass. It was picked off by Luki as Aksu controls it for ROBE and moves it up. Puntila at the left boards, finds it at the corner and gives it over to Yerke. Turned over, however, as Serlateski gets it and moves it forward to Niepi. Now Artuzio with it. Artuzio trying to split the defenders. Moving, shot on, he scores! The pass across to Yetsu! And Vizio strikes first. It took all the way to the third period. We get our first goal of this game, a 1-0 lead for the number 6 seed. And to take another look, Artuzio perfectly placed pass over to Yetsu. Those two have connected so many times this season. and they do so yet again. The captain to his leading goal scorer, and Vizio on their 11th shot find the back of the net, a 1-0 lead. Now remember, they had a 1-0 lead in game 1 as well, and ROBE Esports were able to follow that up with 5 unanswered. Now, probably not going to be able to do that in 15 and a half minutes, but we say that to say that ROBE Esports, they are a team that know how to respond. They have found themselves in these situations before, and they've even done so far today, and ended up guiding their way to a win. As we get a neutral zone face-off coming up. And it's one back by Artuzio for Vizio. Artuzio controls it, shot on, blocked in front, picked up by Puntila, but turned over as Sirleteski gets it at the right point. Hit off of that puck, but recovered by Niepi. Niepi at the right wall. Holding on to it, the point shot blocked in front and picked off by Iurki. Here comes Robe down the other end to Hizu, giving it over to Puntila. Pass across, shot on, denied in front by the defense of Vizio. Niepi had it, but it was poked away off his stick. Dumped in by Robe is no icing going to be called as Vizio will just break this out. Sirleteski gives over to Yusoskari, now up to Yetsu. Yetsu shot on, may have hit a piece of the post, but it was ultimately saved by Viltsup. 12:02 to play here in regulation. Vizio with the first goal of the game just minutes in to this third period. Artuzio with the cross pass to Yetsu. Yetsu's second goal of this finals is a shot from the point, stopped by Viltsup. Controlled by Artuzio at the left corner, found behind the net by Yetsu. At the left corner again and gives it back to Artuzio. Artuzio holding and being patient, looking for the best play possible, trying to find Yetsu, but it's intercepted. Robe with some speed, Puntila with it, but poked off his stick and found by Vizio. Niepi putting on a move at the right side and giving it over to Artuzio. Spin move, pass, intercepted. Aksu controlling it as Yurki gets it and past the blue line to Hizu. Hizu at the right corner, up to Aksu at the point. One-time blast from Luki, saved by Sake. 8:35 to go. An offensive zone draw here coming up for Robe. The right side of Sake. One back by Robe. Pass off there from Luki, and it leads to a turnover. Vizio working down the other end, controlled by Artuzio at the high slot, moves his way forward. The shot saved, however, by Viltsup once again, his 13th save of the game on 14 shots for Vizio as you get another look at it. As Robe Esports, the one to pause, it looks like they'll likely be calling a timeout as you get a closer look at it right here. Artuzio just able to zig and zag his way to some space there in the slot. Got a good look, a clean shot. But Viltsup not to be denied as he gets his glove on that one and keeps us at a 1-goal game. As we're back after the timeout by Robe Esports as Vizio wins the offensive zone draw. Sirleteski at the high right faceoff circle. Moving forward, shot in front there. Pass rather in front. Intercepted. Robe not able to do anything on the counterattack as Vizio gets possession back. Yetsu was working into the offensive end, but an offside called as I believe Niepi was still picking himself up off the ice. So neutral zone draw here coming up. Tied up, found by Yetsu for Vizio. Dumped into the offensive end, puck given chase and found by Robe. Pass across the net there, finds Aksu as he tries to force that forward on a stretch pass to Hizu, but found by Vizio instead. Artuzio trying to get past the defender, but defended well by Robe. As Yurki controlling it, but poked off his stick. 4.5 minutes to go here in the third period. Vizio looking to hold on to this 1-goal advantage. Niepi at the point. The shot maybe deflected there. Doesn't find the net, but Robe Esports now working down the other end as an offside called as Aksu was moving up the right boards with some pace. 3:28 now to play in regulation. Neutral zone face-off between Artuzio and Yurki. One back by Artuzio. As the pass gonna go to Sake as he'll start the breakout. Not often you see the goalies get involved there, but Yetsu with some space up the left side. Holding at the corner, gives it down to Artuzio. Artuzio holding on, looking for a play, tried to pass it to the point, but it was disrupted by ROBE. Puck loose in the neutral zone, found by Niepi and moves it over to Yetsu. Yetsu under duress from behind, trying to find a shot there as Viltsup gets that one, plays it out. Less than a minute to play. ROBE with possession, looking to find the tying answer. Guntela moves it over to Yerky. Shot in front, saved by Sake. And he'll hold on to it with 49.4 to play. You get another look at it. Offensive zone face off to the left side of Sake as ROBE have it in the offensive zone. Controlled by Puntila, nearly turned over. Battled for over at that left corner. Found by ROBE. Puck loose in front. Shot and they score! They score! Tahizu ties it up for ROBE Esports! The captain of this ROBE team knocks this up at one apiece with less than 40 seconds to play. And all of a sudden, Vizio feels the heat turned up. They dump it into the offensive zone, but it's fouled by ROBE. This is Puntila controlling it. In the neutral zone, trying to move it forward to Luki, but it's going to be called an offside with 21.4 seconds to play. But how about ROBE Esports? Tahizu cleans up the garbage in front. Sake, who had been phenomenal over the last couple of possessions, not able to get to that puck. Vizio looking to get that goal back as a shot swept aside by Viltsup. ROBE with one last push. 6 seconds to go. Tahizu pass across. Could not connect there with Yerky. And we're going to have overtime coming up here in Game 2. What a game we've got, folks. And as you get another look at the goal that gave Vizio the lead early on, as Artuzio was able to find Yetsu. But ROBE Esports just kept pushing. They got that late surge. You see right there, that puck sitting over by the blue paint. And Tahizu, the captain, the right winger for this ROBE team, right place, right time, cleans it up and beats Sake to push this into extra hockey. As you get another look at it there. You saw Yerky fighting for it. You saw Tahizu right there with him, and Tahizu able to get to that puck and puts it into the back of the net. As folks, let us know, who do you think gets the overtime winner for either side? We've got a 1-1 score. Game 2 on the line. ROBE a 1-0 series lead, looking to go up 2. On the other side, Vizio looking to tie this series up. You go back to the regular season, Vizio a 2-2 record in overtime. ROBE a 4-2 record in overtime. As Vizio control it and move it over to the left side. Controlled by Yetsu at the left corner. Behind the net, looking for a play. Oh my, that was nearly an own goal from Aksu, but there's going to be a penalty called against Vizio. Artuzio heading to the box. I didn't catch where it happened, but ROBE now on the power play. We mentioned this earlier, 38% on the power play in these playoffs. As Luki has it, pass a cross shot on, goes wide. As a pass from Yerky to the point is awry, and it's going to force a reset. Not sure what happened there with the penalty, but ROBE Esports looking to find the game winner on the man advantage. They're halfway through this power play. Vizio doing a phenomenal job of killing it. They have yet to give up a power play goal so far in this postseason. Perfect on the penalty kill. Luki at the point. Holding it over at the left boards. Looking one-time blast from Aksu, goes wide. Another chance, shot in front on the pass, can't connect. As Vizio down the other way. As Artuzio now out of the box. A move from Yetsu behind the net. Back to even strength. The pass from the point picked off as a big hit there on Tahizu, but ends up finding his teammate. Puntila with it. At the left boards. Bump from behind by Niepi. Puck loose, found by Luki. Over to Aksu at the right point. Aksu moving forward. Gives Luki one-time blast saved by Sake. ROBE still pressuring. Puntila controlling and passing for a shot saved by Sake once again. Off the left toe. Full pressure for ROBE. Controlled by Yerki. Tahizu with it. Puts on a move. At the right corner up to the point. Aksu with it. One-time shot denied once again. What a save from Sake, carrying his team forward. Vizio looking to reward him, but they're bumped off of the puck, and ROBE take possession back again. Luki, big hit there on the blue line, and that's going to cause an offside as the Hizu picked it up. What a sequence there from Sake. Engineering indeed he is. And it looks like Vizio going to call a timeout to kill off that full pressure meter as well as give themselves a bit of energy back. And you saw how even those stats were right there between the two teams. ROBE Esports, they have woken up really since the halfway point of the third period. They have found their offense all of a sudden. They got the tying answer in the dying seconds. And just one goal separates one of these two teams from a Game 2 victory. Who's going to find it, however? Who is going to be the hero? Neutral zone face-off, won by ROBE. Luki gives it back to Aksu, finds Tahizu. Tahizu over at the right wall. One-time blast there from Luki, blocked in front by Niepi. Controlled still by ROBE, pass behind the net, over to the point. One-time shot again, shot in front, another chance, another save from Sake! Oh, he's been phenomenal in this overtime period, keeping this game alive. It's controlled by Luki. Over at the left wall. Gives it up to the point, holding it still. Trying to find space. Over to Puntila. Puntila bump from behind, and that's going to force a reset for ROBE Esports. Aksu gives it over to Yerki. Over to Tahizu now. Tahizu to Luki once again. Poked from behind there by Yusaskari, and Vizio now going to set up their offense after an unrelenting attack from ROBE Esports. 7.5 minutes to play here in overtime. The next goal is your winner. Getsu with it, turned over there as it's picked up by Yerki. Aksu up to Puntila, lost it there. It's right after he got it. Zavateski controlling it here for Vizio. Finds Niepi. Niepi pass in front, puck loose. Battle and scrum for behind the net. As Artuzio finds it, moves it over to Niepi at the corner. To Serlateski, back to Niepi at the right face-off circle. Can't get anything off, but it's found by Serlateski. Goes to Yetsu at the left side. Puck loose to the left corner, found by ROBE Esports. 4.5 to play. Yerki with some speed. Defended by Yusaskari, drops it back to the point. Aksu at the left corner, pass in front there, picked off by Serlateski, and here comes Vizio, a 3-on-2 developing. Artuzio poked off his stick, but gets it back at the left wall. Holding it, looking, brings it around to the opposite side boards, but nobody home at that right point, and Vizio going to be forced to reset. 2.5 to go here in overtime number 1. We'll go as far as they take it. ROBE take over possession after that errant pass by Vizio. Luki stretch pass on the saucer to Puntila. Puntila stops, holds, pass off, shot on, denied again by Sake! Vizio somehow, some way have kept this game alive. And here they come on the counterattack, but it's turned over. Aksu moving it over to Luki. In the neutral zone, gives it back to Aksu as ROBE trying to break into the offensive end. An offside called on that pass over to Puntila. Nice puck loose in the offensive end of Vizio, but here comes ROBE down the other end. Controlled by Tahizu. Did not find much as have it now on the offensive end. Controlled by Luki. At the left face-off circle, poke checked away, and here comes Vizio down the other end. Niepi controlling it. As I saw a pass across there, disrupted. A nice play there from Yerki. Luki controlling it behind the net. Less than 10 seconds to play. Turned over nearly as it's found by Niepi to the point to Serlateski. Is it? Oh, a chance there. Another shot in front, denied again by Vilsup. Oh, what a save from Vilsup! It started with Serlateski at the point. He got the shot in front, a couple of chances there from ROBE. But Viltsup denying him and pushing this game into a second overtime. It has been a goaltending duel so far in this game. And it's going to take a fifth period. As you go back and look at that final chance in front there from Vizio. Oh my goodness. I mean, you're talking about inches away from the game being over. That was Yetsu in front who put that shot on. And that's what Vizio likes to do. They love to be patient and work that puck around. They're a very calculated team. They moved it up from that point. So Latexi giving it over, then Niepi giving it to Yetsu. They strike at a moment's notice, and they almost did there to end it, but it was not to be. As overtime number 2 underway, I want to shout out our sponsors, Covenant Occupancy, Game Changer, and WellNet for their support of the ECL and SportsGamer. I know they've got to be enjoying the playoff action. As here's ROBE in the offensive end. Puck loose in the slot, picked up by Yetsu. Controlled by Niepi, but now lost in the neutral zone. Utila with it at the left boards. Niepi putting on some pressure, but he's able to get it off the stick. Licky works it behind the net. Wraparound shot stop. Puck loose in front. And found by ROBE. Utila with it. Moves it up to Licky. Point shot. Tipped up in front there by Yurtke, but couldn't get anything on the second chance. As here comes Vizio, but turned over in the neutral zone. Niepi now controlling it. Niepi holding one-time blast there. Locked in front. Hizu gets it, but nearly turned over, and it is. Artuzio now with it for Vizio. Bumped off of his stick, and now ROBE looking to counterattack down the other way. Puntila with it, has Yurtke with him. Backhand shot hits the post! Back up to the point. Lucky blasted from the point, blocked once again. Puntila with it, back to Lucky at the point. Holding on to it, gives it up to Puntila. Puntila couldn't find any spaces. Servatexi moves it forward up to Artuzio. Artuzio skating forward, pass in front, shot poked off, another shot that's gloved in by Viltsup. These two goaltenders are having an amazing back-to-back performance right now. Offensive zone draw for Vizio, one in the defensive end by ROBE. Aksu moving it over to Lucky. Lucky crosses the blue line into the offensive end, finds Yurtke. Yurtke passed over to Puntila, shot! Yurtke wins it for ROBE in double overtime! They were down by 1 with less than a minute to go! It took them until the last minute of this game to find a goal! But they push it to overtime. They push in overtime. A phenomenal performance from Sake. Then Vizio had their push, and Viltsup responded with the same. But it's Yurtke winning it for ROBE Esports. He's finally able to beat Sake. As ROBE Esports take a 2-0 series lead over Vizio. And that sets up a critical Game 3 coming up. What a game. As we'll bring you back into the booth here in just a moment. How about ROBE Esports? Again, down by 1. We're not able to score until the last minute of the third period. And in overtime, these two teams were just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. As we bring it back into the team matchup, and you see how these two teams have matched up so evenly with each other, it's no surprise to see those two deadlocked seemingly throughout the entirety of that game. A scoreless first, a scoreless second. Vizio find that early goal in the third period. Thought they would maybe be able to hold on, but ROBE Esports able to find that goal late, as we mentioned. And we will kind of talk about how even these two teams are. Again, ROBE, the chaotic team. They thrive on chaos. They love to play a fast-paced game. They love to throw a team off of their preferred play style. While Vizio, they're much more calculated. They like to play a slowed down, controlled game. That was the story of this series coming into it. Calculated versus chaos. Which one would win out? Vizio, a very tactical team, while, again, ROBE Esports love to cause as much pandemonium as possible. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two teams can match up with one another, and we'll give you one more reminder of the lineups as well for those that are just now joining us. On the left side for ROBE Esports, Puntala at the left wing spot with Yerky at center. He's the one that just got the game-winning goal for this ROBE Esports team in double overtime, while the captain Tahizu, the right winger for ROBE Esports. So back on defense, Loki at lefty and Aksu at righty, while in goal is Viltsa, who we saw make multiple phenomenal saves to keep ROBE alive in that game. On the other side for Vizio, Yetsu at left wing, their captain and centerman are Tuzio, and then Niepi on the right wing side. Well, back on defense is Yusoskari at lefty and Serlatexi at right defense, while in goal is Sake, who you kind of have to feel for Sake, who was so good throughout that game, especially in those overtime periods. I mean, kept Vizio alive in it for probably a lot longer than they would have been if not for his efforts. But it just was not enough at the end of the day. ROBE Esports taking a 2-0 series lead with that 2-1 double overtime victory. As we are just a few minutes away from getting things set up again. We're covering games 1 through 3 on our broadcast coverage here today as we bring you back into the booth. My name is Brandon Bigsby, aka B Major, and again, if you joined us a little bit late, ROBE Esports, the number 8 seed, going up against the number 6 seed Vizio. These two teams, phenomenal stories, 2 surprise stories, making it into the playoffs. Vizio, a team that has been around for multiple seasons in the pro division, started out as a light division team, made it all the way to the quarterfinals, all the way back, if you go back to their time in the ECL 23 winter season. That's the first they've ever made it, though, in a playoff run. Have made the playoffs in 3 of their 5 Pro Division seasons, but had never won a round prior to this season. As a matter of fact, this Vizio team last season missed the playoffs by just 1 point. SSK Esports took that last spot en route to a surprise finals appearance, and eventually on to the Elite Division. They're now a playoff team in the Elite Division, and Vizio looking to join them up there. While on the other side, ROBE Esports, they have been, I mean, such a phenomenal story in the Pro Division. They have gained quite the fan base throughout the community. You have people calling themselves the ROBE Ultras, kind of galvanizing around this team, knocking off Almost Famous, knocking off Golden Buffaloes, 2 of the favorites to make it into the finals. Golden Buffaloes with multiple former Elite Division champions on their roster, while Almost Famous, the former Pro Division champions, won the Pro Division a year ago, were the number 3 overall seed, and they were able to knock them off in 6 games. So this is a ROBE Esports team that has been on quite the run. The community is really circled around them. As, again, we will be having our last game of our coverage here today in just a matter of moments, but we will be back right here tomorrow, same time, same place, twitch.tv/ReactioMedia. Start time set for 20:30 CEST. We will have a game 4 all the way through the rest of the series. And really, it's going to be a matter of whether Vizio can take this game 3 or not, depending on how we know how far that's going to go. As ROBE Esports with a 2-0 series lead, and this game number 3 coming up has to feel like a must-win for Vizio. You cannot go down 3-0. I have a hard time seeing this ROBE Esports team losing 4 games in a row. So this is a critical game coming up for Vizio, already in a near must-win situation. And, you know, again, a ROBE Esports team that we've seen take down some of the top teams in the division, looking to cap that off with a championship, while Vizio in a little bit more of unfamiliar territory. We've not seen them in this position very often, where they have really been pushed to the brink, finding themselves down 2-0 in the series. As you know, you kind of go back a little bit on their path to get here. They had a gentleman's sweep against Sawa Lanch, won that series in 5 games, were able to knock off Pirates Esports in 6 games, and knocked off Afterlife in 5 games. So they've already lost the same amount of games they lost in the one series that they were pushed the furthest in. and that was against Partis Esports, and that was in a situation where they were able to tie the series, nevertheless 1-1, rather than be down. So, gonna be interesting to see where things go from here as we get things set for game number 2 in just a matter of minutes. But we are going to take a quick break here while we get things set up. Folks, do not go away. We have game number 3 coming up in just a matter of moments. Do not go anywhere, my friends. We'll be right back as soon as we have that game number 3 happening.
Welcome to the SportsGamer Health and Performance Program. Nice to have you here. Here you have a large amount of different workouts from Wellnet, but also material just exclusive for you gamers. In your sessions, we focus mostly on neck and shoulder mobility, back health, and concentration. So give it a try and let us know what you think about it.
Minkä päällä lakukastike maistuu parhaalta? Ei voi tietää, ellei kokeile. Kouvolan lakritsi.
We are back. Game number 3 on tap. We just saw ROBE Esports take a 2-0 series lead with a thrilling 2-1 double overtime victory. Yerky with the game-winning goal for the Rocking Bears and looking to take a firm grasp of this series. A must-win for Vizio. We are watching from their perspective as they got that pass across, but it was intercepted. Vizio wearing their all-black home uniforms once again, while ROBE Esports in their road whites. This is controlled by Lucky. Moves it up to Puntala at the left boards. Over to Oxy. Lucky now up to Puntala once again. Back to Lucky at the point. One-time rip blocked in front there by Yetsu. ROBE Esports still with possession. Passed over to Yerky, the overtime hero from game 2. Bumped off his stick, however, is now Vizio trying to work down the other end. Interesting stat. Vizio had a 1-0 lead in both games 1 and 2, lost both of those games, so ROBE Esports, despite not scoring first, have been able to find their way back consistently so far to start the series. They have it in the offensive zone as that shot goes wide. Controlled from behind the net, moved up to the high point to Aksu. Now to Lucky. Lucky, pass, shot in front rather, was blocked. Finds Hizu. Vizio up to the point to Aksu. As he's tripped up, and a power play going to come up here for ROBE. Aksu up to Lucky once again. Holding it, pass it a high slot to Yerki. Yerki over to Puntila. Puntila pass over to Tizu. Backhand shot saved by Sake. Is a power play coming up here for ROBE Esports. As heading to the box will be Yetsu for Vizio. Face off to the left side of Sake, tied up one by ROBE, as that pass is going to be off there from Tizu and will force a reset. So a bit of a self-clear there for ROBE, but they do get back into the offensive end, but not before turning it over. And here's Niepi, a one-on-one. Nice little move, poke check from behind, however, to put a stop to it, as ROBE now take over possession. Luki controlling it, moving forward from the point, passing hard, shot on, he scores! Yerki kicks off the scoring for ROBE Esports. A power play goal, and how about this? For the first time this postseason, Vizio surrenders a goal on the penalty kill. They had yet to surrender one all postseason long. And that's impressive because remember, they were one of the most penalized teams in the division during the regular season. 182 penalty minutes, only one team had more, and that was underrated. So they have been impressive on the PK, but ROBE finally break the perfect streak. Not the first time they've done that, as game one was the first regulation loss that Vizio has taken as well during this playoff run. So ROBE Esports playing well as Vizio with a chance. Puck loose in front, battled for, but found by Luki. As Vizio trying to find the tying answer there, but not able to do so. A 1-0 lead for ROBE Esports. As Puntila controls in the offensive end, that shot was blocked, but ROBE gets it back, dumped in by Puntila and found first by Serlatexi. Serlatexi gives it up over to Niepi, but it's turned over. Turned over there by ROBE in their own end. That shot blocked away by Vilta. Another chance, another shot. Stopped by Vilta once again, and he'll hold on for the freeze. 7:22 to play in this opening period. ROBE Esports, for the first time in this series, strike first, a 1-0 lead for them in this first period. Face off one by Artuzio. Moving it over to Niepi. Found by Serlatexi. Over to Uzoskari as that shot saved by Vilta. ROBE with possession as Luki taking his time and finding Puntila at the left boards. Puntila dumps this in, puck given chase, found by Luki, who gets it behind the net and tries to kick it over, and does so over to Tihizu. Gives it back. But from behind there was Luki, tied up at the boards now as Uzoskari, as these two teams is kind of trading the possession, and finally Vizio able to come out with it cleanly. Niepi trying to put on a move, but disrupted by Yerki. How good has Yerki been in this series for ROBE Esports? As a shot on denied by Sake. That was Yerki yet again on the pass from Puntila. Moving it forward now is Vizio. Yetsu with some speed, but disrupted there. A nice defensive play made by Aksu. Luki past the blue line, holding on to it at the high point. Pull checked off his stick by Yetsu as it's controlled by Niepi, who will slow this down and gives it to Uzoskari to start the breakout. 90 seconds to go here in the opening period of Game 3. Is an offside going to be called? Uzoskari maybe a little too patient there. Neutral zone draw coming up. Tuxio and Yerki wins it back for ROBE, moved forward as that puck even chase, and an icing going to be called there. Close call. Looked like maybe ROBE had gotten to that first, but hey, I'm not wearing the black and white stripes for a reason. I'm in the commentary booth, so an offensive zone draw coming up for Vizio. Face off, one back to Niepi. Shot potentially in front, but poked off the stick of Artuzio before he could get it off. Niepi gets it back at the corner, holding it shot on, blocked in front, found by Artuzio at the left corner. Over to Yetsu, pass in front, puck loose in front of Viltsa, but found by a teammate. As ROBE Esports will just kill off the rest of the time, and they'll go into the second period with a 1-0 lead. 3 shots apiece, but it was ROBE Esports that were able to turn one of those shots into a goal. Yerki got the game winner in that double OT in Game 2, kicked off the scoring here in Game 3 to give ROBE Esports that 1-0 advantage. Get a look at it right here. Just passed in front, a little bit of space. Sake not able to get to it, and see the stats. ROBE Esports nearly doubling in time on attack, 352 compared to 2 minutes exactly for Vizio in the offensive end. And as we mentioned, 3 shots for each side as well, as we get one more closer look at that goal on the replay. The pass being put on from Lucky over to Dierke. 28-98. And the centerman, the gold helmet wearer for this team, able to put it in the back of the net as we get set for period number 2. We want to shout out our sponsors, Covenant, Game Changer, and WellNet for their support of SportsGamer GG and the ECL. Vizio have it in the offensive zone as that pass goes well out of the offensive end. It's going to force a reset here for Vizio. Skari controls it, moves it up to Serlatexi. Is a chance here for Yetsu, but poked off his stick as Puntila gets it momentarily, and it's found by Dierke. Dierke going to reverse course, looking for a passing option, and finds one in Aksu. Aksu dishes it over to Lucky and could not find the pass towards the middle as it's intercepted by Vizio. However, turned over by Vizio in their own end. Tahizu had it but lost it. Now Vizio on the counterattack. Artuzio to Niepi with some space, trying to split the defenders, but poke check from behind. Found by Skari in the neutral zone, but an offside going to be called. 15:59 the play in the second period. ROBE Esports holding on to that 1-goal lead. Face off one back by Artuzio. Skari will set up the offense for Vizio, moving it past the red line and giving it over to Serlatexi. Turned over after a big hit, and here comes ROBE down the other end. Puntila with a shot on it, it hits the post and into the back of the net! ROBE Esports up by 2! And who else but one of the most consistent goal scorers that you have, Puntila. He had 84 points during the regular season, 38 of those were goals. He has 23 during the playoff run coming into the day. Make that 25 as his second goal of this finals. And Vizio now gotta feel like they're approaching dire territory, down 2-0 in game 3. Down 2-0 in the series, cannot afford to head into tomorrow in elimination status. As they tie up on the face-off, it's won by Vizio as Yetsu tries to feed Artuzio, but it's picked off by ROBE Esports. Yetsu controlling it, trying to move it forward to Tahizu, but gets it back. Tahizu finds it, moves it past the blue line, over at the right wall. Holding it, looking for a play, trying to find any passing option, goes down low. As a shot on, stopped there by Sake, and a delayed penalty going to be called as heading to the box will be Artuzio. So Vizio gonna go on the penalty kill once again. ROBE, 1-for-1 on the power play so far in this game. That's how they got their first goal. Again, that's the first power play goal that Vizio has given up during their playoff run. Controlled by ROBE in the offensive end. Puntila with it at the high left point. As a rip from the point, swept aside there by Sake. Lucky with it, gives it up to Aksu. A one-time blast again from Puntila, staved once again by Sake. Up behind the net, found by Skari, trying to slap that up to Yetsu, but couldn't find him. Full pressure for ROBE, but an offside gonna be called. 10:06 to play in period number 2. We are almost halfway through this game. ROBE Esports on the man advantage, and they have a 2-0 lead as well. As unsurprisingly, Vizio going to call a timeout to kill off that full pressure. You saw the stats there. ROBE Esports, they have been the dominant team so far in this game 3. It feels like they have really found their stride ever since the halfway point of the third period of game 2. Kind of lost it there to begin that game. They were amazing in game 1, obviously, a 5-2 victory. But ROBE Esports, they have been the dominant team throughout the majority of this series, and Vizio just trying to keep themselves in striking distance. Do not want to go down 3-0. Heading into games 4 through 7 tomorrow. Again, our coverage starting at 20:30 CEST. As Artuzio out of the box, and here we go, a 3-on-1 for Vizio. Yetsu shot on, saved by Viltsup. Viltsup stepping up once again for ROBE Esports. Puck going to be dumped in by ROBE, and Vizio going to get to it first. Yepi moves it across to Yusascari. Up to Artuzio, but an offside call. And it's just been one of those days so far for this Vizio team. They have not had much. In terms of offensive chances, just 2 goals in game 1, 1 goal in game 2, and they've been blanked so far here in game 3. It's a blast from the point, blocked away by Viltsup as Vizio still pushing. Artuzio gets it over to Yusascari, shot on from the high point. Still pushing, however, here is Vizio. Yetsu behind the net, but turned over as Aksu gets it, tries to slide that one across over to Luki as Luki moves it up to Puntala. Didn't get past Serlatexi, and here comes Vizio down the other end. Yetsu at the right wall. Pass across there, swept aside by Viltsup once again. Vizio with 6 shots on net so far in this game. Is an icing going to be called? They'll have an offensive zone draw coming up. ROBE, on the other hand, 7 shots on net. So not a big difference in terms of opportunities, but Vizio with a lot of their chances here over the last few minutes. Face-off tied up 1 by ROBE Esports. And here comes Tehizu with speed up the right boards, but disrupted by Serlatexi. Yepi with it past the blue line. Moves it up. He's denied by Viltsup. A flashy glove save from the goaltender of ROBE Esports. And we talked about Viltsup, how good he has been in this playoff run, an 81.75 save percentage coming into the series. He struggled mightily in the regular season, a 74.11 save percentage during 28 starts during the regular season campaign. And all of a sudden, he has become a rock-solid goaltender at the biggest point of the season for this ROBE squad. 7 saves on 7 shots so far. An offensive zone draw for Vizio, but 1 in the defensive zone by ROBE. As Puntala gets it, crosses the blue line and holds it there. Couldn't find an option, and it's turned over. Artuzio picked off that pass. Yepi gives over to Serlatexi. Turned over there. A nice defensive play there from Puntala. Picked off by Luki. Luki with it. Moves it over towards Puntala, but couldn't hit him on the pass, and that's going to lead to an icing call. 1:18 to go here in period 2. Face-off coming up to the left side of Viltsup. 1 back by Artuzio. Yepi controlling it. Shot from the point. Blocked away there by Viltsup. 40 seconds to go. Puntala gives it back to Luki. Under some pressure from Artuzio, and he starts to move it forward past the blue line into the offensive end. Picked up by Puntala momentarily, but turned over, and Yepi gets it for Vizio. Yetsu with some speed. Needs to get a shot off. He does. It's saved, however, by Viltsup. Not too sure if it would have counted anyways, but that will do it for period number 2. ROBE Esports with a 2-0 advantage after 40 minutes. And Vizio now, the heart's beating a little bit faster probably for them. Not only down 2-0 in this game, but down 2-0 in the series. What I have to think is a must-win for them and their chances for a championship heading into tomorrow. Just got to look at a few of the saves there from Viltsup. That one right there, probably the best of them all. That snatching glove hand save. And ROBE Esports, they've gotten some goals scoring the pair outfit. That goal from Puntala, sniping it in past Sake, and they've gotten 1 goal for each period as you get one more look at that Puntala goal right here. Just had that space, somehow able to get it past the defender. It looked like there was a little bit of traffic in front, Give Serlatexi some credit. It didn't look like he was in poor position, but was able to beat Sake and Puntila. If he had another goal in these playoffs, it's 25th right there, and ROBE with a 2-goal lead heading into the final period of regulation. We want to make sure we thank our sponsors once again, Kovadan Ocracy, Game Changer, and WellNet. Big thank you to them for their support of the ECL all season long. As ROBE Esports have possession and working in the neutral zone, a 3-on-2 potentially there, but the toe jag from Lucky led to an offside call. Neutral zone face-off now coming up. Face-off one back to Serlatexi as he moves it forward to Niepi. Over Artuzio, puck loose over at the side post, found by Niepi, but eventually controlled by Lucky for ROBE. Aksu under some pressure as you see Vizio starting to apply the forecheck a bit here once again. As it's turned over by ROBE, and here comes Vizio down the other end. Yetsu controlling it at the left wall. Holding on, looking for a play, goes behind the net and moves it up to the point to Serlatexi. One-time rip, tipped in front, but saved by Viltsup. Offensive zone face-off coming up once again here for Vizio. They have had a lot of these over the last few minutes. One back to Serlatexi. Poked off his stick there by Puntila. Puck given chase and found by Niepi for Vizio. Battled for, however, in the neutral zone as he passes it over to Yusaskari. Turned over as Lucky ends up getting to that for ROBE, but he loses to Serlatexi with another great defensive stop. Serlatexi gives it over to Yusaskari and it finds its way over to Niepi. Niepi to Yetsu. Yetsu shot on, blockered away by Viltsup once again. Aksu behind the net, lost and taken by Niepi. Niepi holding it the high right face-off circle, gives it over to Serlatexi. His rip from the point was blocked. Full pressure from Vizio, another shot, another save, puck loose in front, found by Viltsup once again, and he'll hold on for the whistle. And all of a sudden, Vizio with 13 shots on net, but none of them have been able to beat Viltsup so far. They have full pressure activated, ROBE with no pauses, so they can't take a timeout. As that face-off won by ROBE, but it found Viltsup, so they'll have to do it over again. Face-off to the left side of Viltsup. One in the defensive zone by ROBE. They try to dump it out. It's found by Tahizu, and he gets it out of his own end. As Puntila controls it in the neutral zone and works it back to Lucky, who gives it to Aksu. Aksu to Lucky once again, over to Yurtki. Finds Puntila. Puntila pressured from behind, turned over and picked up by Yetsu, who gives it over to Niepi. Niepi to Artuzio. Artuzio holding pass across, puck in front. Battled for, found by Yetsu. Couldn't get a shot off, however. But Artuzio and his group still pressuring. He has it in front, shot from Niepi. Blocked in front once again. Vizio in their offensive zone still as ROBE struggling to get it out, and they turn it over. Niepi behind the net, moves it up to Yusaskari, over to Artuzio. Trying to move forward, but had no space, and is turned over by Vizio in the offensive end. And here comes ROBE. He's controlling a pass in front. One-time shot denied by Sake. Here comes Vizio on the counterattack. Yetsu controlling it, puck in front by Viltsup. Got that shot off, but it'll stop. Puck found by ROBE, and they'll dump this into the neutral zone to calm things down for just a moment. Niepi back on the attack here for Vizio. Turned over, so it's poked off his stick as Tahizu gets it, battling for that puck with Yusaskari. And Yusaskari gets it and moves it to Niepi. Niepi back to Yusaskari. Yusaskari trying to give it back to the point to Artuzio, but picked off. And here comes Yurtki for ROBE, but turned over as he'll dump it in. Now, he was able to get it back the second time around. 5.5 to play. Vizio pressuring, pushing. They've had all the attacking, all of the shots in this period, but still looking for a goal to show for it. They have it in the offensive zone. Artuzio, one-time blast, blocked in front. That was Serlatexi who let that one rip. Another shot, another chance, another save. Full pressure for Vizio. 16 saves on 16 shots for Viltsup. As ROBE dumps it into the neutral zone, it's found by Yusaskari. He dumps it into the offensive end, but Puntila gets for it first for ROBE. 3 minutes to play. Yurtki up to Tahizu. Found by Niepi, however, as he creates the turnover, and he's back in the offensive end. Pass in front, puck shot on, but stopped by Viltsup once again. If you think I'm tired, I can't imagine how Viltsup feels. 17 shots. ROBE has had little to no offensive attack throughout the last 40 minutes, but yet they're still up with a 2-0 lead with about 90 seconds to play. Yeppy turns that over at the point. As the puck loose in the neutral zone, but found by ROBE. Less than a minute to go. Looking to hold on to this 2-0 lead. They take a commanding 3-0 series advantage heading into Game 4 tomorrow evening. They have it in the offensive zone. It's picked up by Dehizu. Reverse down low behind the net, but a big hit there down low by Yusascari. 45 seconds to play. As he moves us up to Yetsu at the left boards. Yetsu trying to put on a move. Finds his way into Yeppy after he lost it. At the high point, and Yeppy looking, couldn't find much, is turned over as Dehizu had it, lost, found by Artuzio, but an offside call with 30.1 seconds to go. Neutral zone face-off here for Artuzio and Vizio. They win it. Moved over to Serlatexi. Couldn't find the shot on as ROBE Esports trying to push it forward, but turned over in the neutral zone. Yusascari with it. Finds Yetsu. At the left corner, Yetsu looking for anything. 15 seconds to go. Pass across, disrupted. He still controls it at the corner. Pass in front over to Niepi. Shot on. Doesn't hit the net. There's another chance. Pass in front. They score! Artuzio! A heartbreaking way to end the shutout hopes of Viltsup, but this game not over. 7.5 seconds to play. Vizio down by 1. They have one more goal left in them. They win the faceoff. Turned over on the pass. Dumped in, and an icing gonna be called with 2.1 seconds left. An offensive zone draw for Vizio. And shockingly, Sake not gonna pull the goalie. A surprising decision, but a must-win for Artuzio. One in the defensive zone by ROBE Esports, and that will do it. ROBE win Game 3, 2-1. They hold a 3-0 series lead and are 1 win away from crowning themselves Pro Division champions as they take a commanding grip on this series heading into tomorrow. As you see the stats there, Vizio, 18 shots to 8, 7-12 time on attack to 6-24. ROBE had most of that time on attack during the first half of this game. They dominated the first 30 minutes of this game, and then it was all Vizio from that point forward. But Vizio not able to break past Viltsup. Without any question, the first star of this game. A 17 save performance on 18 shots. As we bring you back into the booth, B Major with you. As how about ROBE Esports? Their magical run, their magical story continues. They take a 3-0 series lead here at the end of our coverage here today. If you weren't with us earlier, they won game number 1 by a score of 5-2. Game number 2, an absolute thriller. They were down 1-0 with less than a minute to go. Were able to tie it up as Dehizu got the goal with a little bit under a minute remaining. That game went all the way to double overtime, and then Yurki able to find the game winner. And then as we just saw, ROBE Esports a 2-1 regulation victory over Vizio. How about this for Vizio? They came into this finals with a record of 12-0-4 in the postseason. They had not lost a single game in regulation during their postseason run. They lose 2 today and now find themselves in desperation territory heading into tomorrow as we give you one final look at the bracket. As again, ROBE Esports, a 3-0 series lead heading into our coverage tomorrow. And ROBE just continuing to keep the good times rolling. We mentioned it earlier. A pair of upsets knocking off Almost Famous and Golden Buffaloes in 6 games. I think a lot of people felt that that would more than likely be the finals, potentially. 2 of the most experienced teams in the entire Pro Division. Almost Famous won the Pro Division 2 seasons ago, won the Light Division the year before that. They're knocked out in the quarterfinals. And then Golden Buffaloes, I mean, we mentioned some of the names that are on that roster. That is an absolutely stacked Golden Buffaloes group. They dominated during the regular season, earned the number 1 seed. I mean, you look at just some of the players that have played games for them in this postseason. I mean, Potslav, Ekin, It's Party Time, Red Misty, Flyer Kungan, McSaven. I mean, that is a group that is good enough to make the Elite Division playoffs, let alone the Pro Division finals. And they were able to knock them out in 6 games after being down 2-1 in that series. They now find themselves up 3-0 in the finals over Vizio, who have had an impressive run themselves, knocked out Pirates Esports in 6 games, as well as Afterlife. But they're going to have to find a massive comeback here starting tomorrow, as you'll be right back here live at 20:30 CEST tomorrow night. Vizio, the 6th seed, looking to come back against ROBE Esports, who have a commanding 3-0 series lead. ROBE Esports looking to win the Pro Division title, their first ECL title, and they would clinch their position in the Elite Division for next season. We will be live right back here at twitch.tv/ReactioMedia. You can also find us live on our YouTube at ReactioMedia or live on our X account at SportsGamerGG. Once again, we will have our coverage starting at 20:30 CEST. I'll be right back with you on the call for that. Games 4 through 7 tomorrow. We will be covering the remainder of this series as far as these 2 teams decide that they want to take it. I'm sure ROBE hoping that we'll have a quick job tomorrow of just 1 game, while Vizio hoping to give us a 4-game thriller, trying to make that 3-0 series comeback. We've seen it happen before in the ECL. We'll see if they can make it happen again, or if ROBE can close this thing out once again. Thank you all for joining us here once again today. ROBE going to go into tomorrow with that 3-0 series lead. A big thank you to our amazing producer, Chris Ryan, making everything happen behind the scenes. A shout out to Ken and the SportsGamer GG staff for everything they do to make this league run and operate as smoothly as it does. A shout out again to our sponsors, COVID Game Changer, and WellNet for their amazing support of the ECL. And thank you all for spending your Monday evening with us. Make sure you join us right back here tomorrow once again at 20:30 CEST to catch the remainder of the series. My name is B Major. We'll see you right back here tomorrow for the remainder of our Pro Division Finals coverage.
Welcome to the SportsGamer Health and Performance Program. Nice to have you here. Here you have a large amount of different workouts from WellNet, but also material just exclusive for you gamers. In your sessions, we focus mostly on neck and shoulder mobility, back health, and concentration. So give it a try and let us know what you think about it.